You ever notice how the nights you can't fall asleep are the nights you try the hardest? You lie there, eyes closed, forcing it, telling yourself to relax, counting backwards, breathing deliberately. And with every technique, every effort, sleep drifts further away, because the trying itself is what's keeping you awake. This isn't just about sleep. There's a version of you right now, maybe reading this, maybe avoiding something else, who's stuck in the exact same loop you're grinding, pushing, white-knuckling your way toward a goal that feels like it should be closer by now. You're doing everything right. Waking up early, following the routine, checking the boxes. And yet somehow, the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't closing. If anything, it feels wider. So you try harder. You add another hour to the workday, another item to the to-do list, another promise to yourself that tomorrow will be different. And the cruel irony is this: the harder you try, the slower you grow. Not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, but because you're operating under a lie we've all been sold. The lie that effort equals progress, that intensity equals results, that if you just push hard enough, long enough, loud enough, the universe will finally bend in your direction. But growth doesn't work like that. Think about a seed. You plant it, water it, give it sunlight, and then nothing. Days pass, maybe weeks. You start wondering if you did something wrong, if you should dig it up and check, if you should water it more, push the soil down harder, do something. But the seed isn't stuck. It's working, underground, in the dark, building a root system strong enough to support what's coming. And if you dig it up to check on it, you kill it. That's what we do to ourselves. We're so obsessed with seeing proof of progress that we sabotage the invisible work that actually matters. We measure success by what we can see, what we can track, what we can screenshot and post. And when we don't see it, we panic, we pivot, we restart. We try harder, but growth isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself. It happens in the margins, in the mundane, in the moments you're not even paying attention. You know what's wild? The people who seem to grow the fastest are often the ones trying the least. Not because they're lucky, not because they're talented, but because they've learned something. Most of us resist with everything we have. You can't force readiness. You can practice a skill for 10,000 hours, but if you're gripping the pen so tight your hand cramps, if you're so tense with expectation that you can't feel the flow, you'll never create anything worth keeping. The breakthrough doesn't come from the pressure. It comes when you finally exhale. There's a reason every wisdom tradition points to the same paradox. The Tao says, the softer the wood, the stronger the tree. Zen masters talk about effortless effort. Even physics knows this. Water doesn't break through rock by force. It wins by persistence and patience. But we don't want to hear that, because patience feels passive. It feels like giving up. It feels like you're not doing enough. So instead, we perform effort. We broadcast our hustle. We stay busy because busyness feels like movement, and movement feels like progress. But most of the time, we're just running in place, creating friction, burning out the engine before we've even left the driveway. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is stop. Stop checking the metrics. Stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop treating every day like a test you're failing if you're not 5 steps ahead of where you were yesterday. Because growth isn't linear. It's cyclical. It's seasonal. There are times to push. Absolutely. Times to sprint, to grind, to pour everything you have into the work. But there are also times to rest, to integrate, to let the soil recover so the next harvest can actually take root. And most of us have no idea which season we're in. We're trying to harvest in winter, wondering why nothing's growing. You want to know the real reason. Trying harder makes you grow slower, because when you're straining, you're not learning, you're surviving. And survival mode doesn't build new neural pathways. It doesn't allow for creativity or flexibility or the kind of lateral thinking that leads to breakthroughs. It just keeps you alive. Your brain can't grow and defend itself at the same time. So when you're constantly in fight mode, fighting the clock, fighting your limitations, fighting the gap between where you are and where you think you should be, you're putting all your energy into defense and none into development. That's why the insights come in the shower, on the walk, right before you fall asleep. When you've finally stopped trying. That's not laziness, that's biology. The mind needs space to process, to connect dots, to make meaning out of the mess. And when you fill every moment with effort, with noise, with the next task, you rob yourself of the very thing that allows growth to happen. Integration. Look, I'm not telling you to stop working. I'm not selling you some passive manifestation will save you fantasy. Work matters, discipline matters, consistency matters, but so does trust. Trust that the work you did yesterday still counts today, even if you can't see it yet. Trust that rest isn't regression. Trust that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let go of the outcome long enough to remember why you started. Because here's the thing about trying too hard. It comes from fear. Fear that you're not enough. Fear that you're falling behind. Fear that if you ease up for even a second, everything will collapse. But nothing solid collapses when you stop holding it up. Only the things that were never meant to stand in the first place. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I grow faster? Maybe it's, what would happen if I stopped forcing it? What if you trusted the process enough to let it unfold? What if you worked with the same intensity, but without the desperation? What if you planted the seeds, watered them, and then, this is the hard part, walked away? Not forever, just long enough to let the roots take hold. Because growth isn't something you do, it's something you allow. And the moment you stop strangling it with effort, with expectation, with the need to see proof every single day, that's when it finally has room to breathe. That's when you realize you were never stuck. You were just growing in the dark. And all that trying. It was just you digging up the seed every night to make sure it was still alive. It was. It is. You just have to let it